Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to be speaking about teaching science as a way of thinking. The how, the why, and the what of it. So I'd like to begin by first posing the question, why should science be taught thus? We believe that all action stems from thought. Then if the learning of science is to effect a sustained change in behavior, then the teaching of the subject must aim to impact the process of thinking. This is my submission. I invite you to debate with me. Because I feel that unless that happens, it is unlikely that science will develop problem-solving skills or enhance critical thinking. And these are just two of the aims of STEM. So, having put forward my argument why I think science should be taught like this, I'm going to talk at length about how it should be taught like this. How can it be taught like this? And this is just one way. I'm sure there are other ways. If we regard the process of making discoveries in science to be of greater value than the content of the discoveries. And when I say this, you mute your microphone, please, John. So if we regard the process of making discoveries in science to be of greater value than the content, and by this, I'm not belittling the importance of the content of discoveries. So I'm just clarifying that. I'm just saying that up till now, we have not given much thought to the process. So can we bring that to the forefront now? Because if we do so, we will be on our way to placing scientific thinking center stage. And we can do this through stories of scientists' discoveries, because that's a good way of thinking about it. Somebody has to mute their audio, because there's some disturbance. Thank you. So I'm going to describe the suggested pedagogy. I suggest that we employ storytelling of an actual scientist discovery as the entry point, and we highlight the thought process of the scientist concerned. I hope everyone is able to hear me.
Yes.
Thank you. We then intersperse the lesson with questions for discussion and lace it with activities and puzzles that serve to develop the same skills used by the scientist, or at least the same skills that we think were used by the scientist. So what do I mean by this? The flow of the lesson would look something like this. There should be a true story containing participative activities. And the true story is the story of the discovery made by the particular scientist. The activities will serve to enhance observation, inquiry, thinking, experimental skills. And then this will be built upon with further exploratory activities that serve to hone the same skills. And finally, as a wrap-up, there will be suggested ways in which the learner can internalize this learning so as to impact everyday life. I'm going to take the example of the invention of the stethoscope. The stethoscope was invented by René Laennec. And here I wish to acknowledge Azim Premji Foundation, because a team of us, while I was working with them, we developed a digital learning resource. It was based on the invention of the stethoscope. I will give you a second to look carefully at this picture, because I'm going to refer to it in the next slide. This is a snapshot from an animated DVD that we produced. Please take a good look at the picture. What did these scientists do? I'm going to run you through the story very briefly. René Laennec was a physician, and he was apprenticed to his uncle, who was also a physician. Sarah, can you help me? Can somebody mute their audio? Can you mute it? Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, Neeraja, I'll be doing that in the background. You just please.
Yeah. So in those days, the physicians, they diagnosed diseases by listening to patients' heartbeats. And this was because they had observed that the heartbeat sounded different depending upon the nature of the illness. So this was the technique being employed by René Laennec too. This was in the 18th century, early 19th century. And this is how he diagnosed illnesses. But there came a day when he could not do this, and that was because his patient was a plump lady. You saw the picture. And I don't have to explain why it would have been very inappropriate for him to put his ear to her chest. So he now was faced with a dilemma. How was he going to diagnose the disease of this patient without listening to the sounds of her heartbeat? So he suddenly made a connection to an old and unrelated memory. And what was this unrelated memory? He recalled that he had seen some children playing a strange kind of game. They were on two sides of a big wooden board. And the children on one side of the board would tap that side of the board. And the children on the other side of the board would put their ears to the board and listen to the sounds. This made René Laennec think. He looked around his clinic. He found a piece of paper. He rolled it into the shape of a paper cylinder. And now you may recall that picture. He put one end of the paper cylinder to the chest of the patient. At the other end, he held his ear. And lo and behold, he could hear the heartbeat. He diagnosed and he treated the patient. As he kept using this paper cylinder, of course, it was impermanent. It tore. So now he was faced with a new problem. And he improved upon his solution. And to this day, the stethoscope that we use is not all that different from what René Laennec invented. So that's the story. Now, what are the skills that this resource we developed at Azim Premji Foundation, what are the skills that it serves to develop? It serves to develop the same skills that we think the scientists used, listening skills and thinking deductive skills. So for listening skills, what it does is it begins very simple. There are some sounds which the listener is asked to match with some images. I'm going to play one of them. So that sound was of a bird, and they very quickly match it with the image of a bird. Now, starting very simple, then they go to slightly more complicated sounds. Not complicated, but complicated exercises. So that's a sound at one pitch, and then they listen to one at another pitch. So if you notice, they were two different pitches, and they have a series of such sounds, and the learner is expected to arrange them in order from low pitch to high pitch. So we go from an easy exercise to a less easy exercise to an even more complicated exercise. They listen to the sound of coins. And there are different coins. I've just played one for you. So they're supposed to listen to the sound and tell us the denomination of the coin. That's how refined their sound, their listening is expected to get. And they also listen to the sound of flowing water. You'll know why in a bit. Having listened to that, there is a puzzle that they are expected to solve. There is a very busy potter who's so busy making pots that he doesn't have time to get up from his work and go and close a tap which is open to fill a bucket of water that he needs. And so he asks this mouse to help him. He says, can you help me? Just close the tap when the water fills the bucket. The problem is he asks a mouse who's visually challenged. So the visually challenged mouse asks the user of this digital resource to help him by clicking on the screen when the sound of the water flowing from the tap reveals that the bucket has gotten exactly full. So the screen goes black at that time, and you can only hear the sound of water filling a bucket. And as we all know, as the length of the air column decreases and the bucket is getting fuller and fuller, the sound changes. So the user has to click exactly at the point where the bucket is full. That's one puzzle. There's another puzzle where they are faced with this problem of a flower seller, a girl, who has sold flowers and has come to buy oil from an oil merchant. And she claims to have paid him a certain amount of money, but he says she hasn't. So the user has to listen to both sides of the story by clicking on them, click on some clues, and decide who is telling the truth. So there is listening, as well as they have to use some deductive skills, like was the coin greasy, was the rupee note, was it smelling of flowers, and so on. And I'm just going to play this. I hope it works. I don't know if you could make out. There were 3 coins which fell there. The first coin sounded different from the next 2. If you couldn't make that out, don't worry. I'm just explaining the logic to you. So the listener had to detect that the first coin was a 5 rupee coin and the next 2 were 2 1 rupee coins. So the total amount paid was 7 rupees. I'm just giving you a glimpse. Yeah, somebody wants to say something? So this is just a glimpse of a digital learning resource which tried to build on the skills used by a scientist. We did some more work with another team in Azim Plenty Foundation, where we used the story of William Harvey's discovery of blood circulation by first introducing the learner to the story of blood circulation and then giving them this picture of a residential area where there are pipes through which water is being supplied, and we introduced the learner to 3 types of valves. And then we had the learner solve a puzzle where plumbers have started repairing a leak in the residential area. And the learner is asked to identify all the houses that receive water when the plumber closes valve A. Again, this is just a glimpse. There are several other questions, but I hope you can see the connect between the puzzle and what William Harvey did by tying bands at different parts of his body and seeing the direction of flow. Of course, there are many other possibilities. I'm just showing you 3 possibilities here, and maybe I'll just talk about one of them, which is Edward Jenner. And the story goes that he heard a chance remark made by a milkmaid who said, "I will not get smallpox because I have already had cowpox." And he was cognizant of that. He did not dismiss that remark, thinking, oh, she's an illiterate, uneducated milkmaid, what would she know? Instead, he took care to investigate the truth behind that remark. And the rest, as they say, is history. That's how he discovered the smallpox vaccine and immunization. So using that kind of a story, one can develop a similar pedagogy. I've also talked here about Alexander Fleming. Most of us know about his accidental discovery of penicillin. And Eichmann and Hopkins, who discovered that beriberi is caused by deficiency of vitamin B. And this is an interesting story because they thought out of the box in a climate which was just post-germ theory. And germ theory had gotten everyone very excited because they thought presence of things in food can cause infection. And that was the discovery. So they were so excited by it that it took a very long time for Eichmann and Hopkins to realize that even the absence of certain things in food can cause disease. And although the evidence was staring people in the face for many decades, it took time for Eichmann and Hopkins to think out of the box and point to an obvious fact. It was very obvious now in hindsight. So the overview of this pedagogy is like this. And please don't take the sequence very seriously because even scientists don't think in the systematic way of observe, inquire, and so on. But hopefully all these elements should find a place in this suggested pedagogy. And what are the possible outcomes of teaching students science like this? Here I'm hypothesizing, I have not verified it yet, but I think that if we teach students science like this, they will develop an eye for bias and assumptions. They will turn into articulate inquirers. They will develop critical thinking skills. They will become critical readers and receiver of media. They will not simply believe whatever the TV or the internet tells them. They will become bold inquirers. They will know how to sift fact from opinion, and they will become systematically deductive thinkers and problem solvers. Many of these are aims of the STEM program. What are the implications then for a teacher? This just summarizes a very small portion. I've just taken the inquiry bit here. There are so many other implications. If we want the students to ask questions and display a wide breadth of them, be capable of asking open-ended questions, identifying assumptions made in asking a question, naturally the teacher should be capable or equipped to facilitate such questioning, enable students to see how questions lead to more questions. And there are questions which do not have a single correct answer. And there are many assumptions, hidden as well as obvious, in any question. What are the implications for curriculum designers? They, I think, will now begin to examine what is absolutely necessary for a student to know and how best to equip the student to learn this. So then they will select the essence of a topic, and how will they select it? By seeing whether it will shape the thinking of the learner from a mass of content. And I hope that they will then seamlessly link theory and experiments and integrate science with art, the laboratory with poetry, and life with scientific temper. This will then help them design science learning processes that enrich day-to-day life. Curricular shifts, consequently, would be from content-driven to thought process-driven. From emphasis on a large volume of content to understanding and application of a small volume of content. From assessing correctness of answers to gauging the power of questions that a learner asks. And from traditional closed book assessment to open book examinations. What are the implications for policymakers? I think these are the implications. To encourage, empower, and envision the teaching of science in a way that enables the application of principles learned in a new context. And by new context, I mean not necessarily a laboratory or a scientific context. And learners and teachers of science, they need to develop or bring about changes in attitude and lifestyle. Science learning then has to be an aid to the development of contributing members of a community, a society, a nation. I'm not the first person to emphasize the importance of the history of science in its teaching. I've just referred here to two of the so many who have spoken of this. And I'm now open for questions. Thank you. I hope I haven't exceeded my 20 minutes.
Thank you, Dr. Neeraja. Fatih, would you like to comment before we go to questions?
Yeah, Dr. Neeraja, yeah. I was quite intrigued by one of your slides in which you indicated that for this type of developing this type of thinking, you know, policymakers and curriculum, especially curriculum developers, should be linking laboratory to poetry.
Yeah.
Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah.
That is intriguing to me.
Yeah. You know, the reason I'm saying this is because I'm just sharing that screen. Maybe that's a good idea so people know what we're talking about. The reason I'm saying this is science is usually thought of as something very dry and very factual, you know, and poetry is thought of as being very imaginative and colorful. Sorry? Is there a problem?
Yeah, no, I think somebody was not muted.
Yeah, oh. So what I meant was that when you de-link imagination from science, you are making it very dry. And actually a lot of science happens because you are able to imagine. And there is the common notion that when you understand a flower, you have lost all the beauty in the flower. You know all the names of the parts, and you know the functions, and the poetry of the flower, the beauty of the flower is gone.
Yeah.
And I don't think, I mean, I'm a person who enjoys science and I enjoy poetry, and I don't see a conflict between the two. So if that kind of a flavor, that enjoyment of the wonder in science, which can make you turn poetic, which can make you turn scientific, if that is brought home by curriculum designers, I think we would be doing a lot to break this divide between the head and the heart. That's what I meant. I hope I...
Yeah. No, I fully agree with you, because I also think that science is being made too dry, as you said, and that it really takes all the beauty away.
Yes.
And I mean, science describes all the magnificent workings of the different process.